I am representing the UNDP resident representative, Dr. Ayodele Odushula. He does send his apologies and best wishes for a fruitful gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's theme, Sustainability Beyond the Global Trilemma, is both timely and essential. As we gather here today, the stakes for our planet have never been higher. We are indeed at a pivotal moment in our collective journey towards a sustainable and climate resilient future. Let's take a moment to just reflect on what transpired and took place in COP28. In COP28, we witnessed significant discussions on the urgent need for more ambitious climate commitments. A global stocktake was undertaken, which revealed that while progress is being made, it is nearly not sufficient to meet the targets that were laid out in the Paris Agreement. As a global community, we have agreed and have committed to limit global warming to below 1.5 degrees Celsius. In Zimbabwe and across Africa, businesses are uniquely positioned to lead the way in this transformation. The COP28 Global Stocktake also emphasized the importance of local initiatives that align with global goals, which is especially critical for developing countries like Zimbabwe. Another takeaway from the Global Stocktake of COP28 is that it highlighted the sustainable practices that can lead to economic resilience, job creation, and innovative solutions tailored to local contexts. The COP28 Stocktake also highlighted the necessity for businesses to adopt sustainable supply chains. Ladies and gentlemen, companies that prioritize sustainability can enhance their competitive edge in the global marketplace. What does this mean? For instance, firms that invest in renewable energy not only reduce their carbon footprint, but shield themselves from the volatility of fossil fuel prices. Additionally, climate financing is becoming increasingly available, and businesses that position themselves as sustainable players will have a better access to accessing these funding opportunities. In a world where the global market is increasingly valuing environmental sustainability by aligning business models with climate goals, we strongly believe that businesses can attract investment from local and international sources eager to support sustainable ventures. We know that embracing ESG is no longer a matter of compliance. This has been adequately elaborated by the previous speaker. Thank you very much, Cynthia, for highlighting that on the importance of ESG. It is a strategic imperative that can significantly enhance a company's resilience and reputation. By integrating sustainable practices, businesses can also reduce related risks to climate change and resource scarcity, whilst also attracting investment from a growing pool of climate-conscious investors around the world. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that UNDP is undertaking in Zimbabwe. First of all, I'd like to highlight the Zimbabwe Green Jobs Assessment. In 2021, UNDP, together with ILO, the International Labour Organization, supported the government to undertake a green jobs assessment for Zimbabwe, from which we learned a number of important lessons, which I will share with you. The first lesson: transitioning to a green economy has potential to create substantial job opportunities across various sectors, particularly in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and waste management. The second lesson: we absolutely need training and capacity building to equip the workforce for emerging green jobs. Investments in education and vocational training are therefore essential to prepare the workforce for new roles. Third lesson: promoting green jobs can help diversify Zimbabwe's economy, thus reducing reliance on traditional sectors and increasing resilience against economic shocks and climate change impacts. The fourth lesson focuses on effective policy frameworks and government support. These are absolutely crucial for fostering an environment conducive to green job creation, adopting sustainable practices, and investing in green technologies. The fifth and final lesson, which I'd like to highlight, is that green job creation needs to be inclusive, addressing the needs of marginalized groups and providing equitable opportunities for all Zimbabweans. Then just to focus a little bit more in terms of what it is that UNDP Zimbabwe does. UNDP implements a number of projects that embody our commitment to sustainability and climate action. We have a number of projects such as the Zimbabwe Resilience Fund, the Climate Adaptation Water and Energy Program, CAWEP. We have projects funded by the Green Climate Fund, as well as the Global Environmental Facility. Through these projects, UNDP supports the enhancement of community resilience to climate shocks by integrating sustainable agricultural practices and fostering local entrepreneurship. Some of the notable activities that you can tangibly see on the ground include solarized irrigation schemes, the establishment of solar mini grids, as well as supporting biogas digesters at household and community level, ensuring a clean source of energy in the communities that we work in. Our projects not only improve food security, but also encourage businesses to invest in sustainable farming techniques, ensuring that agricultural productivity remains robust in the face of climate change. As the UNDP, we are also supporting the creation of green jobs in Zimbabwe through skills training. Vocational skills training is a key component of most of our projects, where we target the youth as well as women, who are quite often left behind in a lot of these capacity building initiatives. We do partner with local organizations to provide training in sustainable agricultural practices, in renewable energy technologies, and eco-friendly business management. This not only equips the workforce with essential skills, but also prepares them for emerging green sectors that are vital for our economy. Another significant initiative in our work stream is promoting and investing in renewable energy. UNDP is actively supporting projects that focus on solar energy installations across the country. In addition, we are supporting sustainable agricultural initiatives. Promoting climate-smart agricultural practices certainly help farmers to increase their productivity whilst preserving the environment. Moving on to the road to COP29, which is just around the corner. The path to COP29 will require not only the involvement of governments and civil society, but also a profound transformation in the way that businesses operate. Integrating sustainability into business core strategies is not just a moral imperative. It is a business opportunity that can unlock new markets and foster innovation. As we move forward, I urge you to consider how your business can contribute to a sustainable economy. This means not only reducing carbon footprint and waste, but also investing in renewable energy and green technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, the global market is shifting, and those who adapt will thrive. Let's also remember that collaboration is key. We absolutely need to foster partnerships but I think I'm still audible. So, just to continue, ladies and gentlemen, together, business, private sector, government, research, academia, development partners, together we can strive and drive systematic change that benefits both the environment and the economy. In conclusion, the road to COP29 is one that we must travel together with determination and a shared vision. It is a journey towards a sustainable future that prioritizes people and the planet, ensuring that these two are in balance and are in check. Let us commit to action that goes beyond the rhetoric. I'll repeat that. Let us commit to action that goes beyond the rhetoric. Action that transforms our business practices, action that transforms our communities, and ultimately action that transforms our world. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to learning more about the initiatives that will emerge from today's discussions. Together, ladies and gentlemen, we can turn the challenges of climate change into opportunities for sustainable growth. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Constance Pepukai, and she ends by talking about moving towards action more than rhetoric. And of course, she said that businesses in Africa and in Zimbabwe are uniquely positioned to actually make a difference. I'd like to call upon our facilitator for this session, Constance. There'll be a question and answer session. I'd like to call upon Monica Chanda, who is a broadcast journalist in current affairs, and she's also a development practitioner. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as she comes up.
It's a very good morning. Good morning, everybody. I don't think we can sustain this kind of energy because we are speaking to very critical issues. So I will do this once again. Good morning, everybody. That's much better. And of course, we will be looking to a very critical conversation. And once again, I must say, Constance, very critical that you said collaborations, which are indeed important at this point in time. But I'll kindly ask if I could have someone help us with 2 chairs, because we will be getting into that question and answer session. A couple of issues as we get to look at some of the issues highlighted in Constance's presentation, but also posing to how businesses are also riding on issues of sustainability. So I will probably put my tools here, allow me to call them that. And while we await for the second chair, our panelist who gave us that presentation, we do know that the 2024 Sustainability Summit is, of course, taking stock of how COP28's outcomes have so far impacted business. And today, as we get to question some of those issues, allow me to also highlight a brief biography so that we are also understanding of our panelist. Constance Pepukai is the head of Nature, Climate and Energy in the UNDP Country Office. Prior to this assignment, Constance was with FAO Zimbabwe as the Assistant FAO Representative Program, leading the delivering of the FAO program in the country. She has more than 20 years of professional experience working in various fields, including agriculture, food security, natural resources management, climate change, resilience building, institutional and policy frameworks. Well, with not much time, help us welcome Constance Pepukai once again. Keep clapping till she gets here, please. please. So while we set it up, we will have an opportunity to probably get a couple of questions from the audience. I know you do have some very critical ones. But obviously, Constance, as we take stock of how COP28's outcomes have so far impacted business operations, probably let's start there. Your view on how business has been impacted.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you very much for the question. Which mic is better? First of all, it's important to highlight that businesses do play a critical role in ensuring that we meet our SDG targets. I'd like to highlight that we are less than 5 years to 2030, and the reality is that as a country, as the world, we are not doing well to achieve these targets. In fact, we are off course, and we urgently need to accelerate action to achieve on our climate goals and targets. There are a number of initiatives that need to be done, that need to be undertaken. The first area that I would like to highlight on is on renewable energy and the importance of just transitions, especially in the renewable energy sector. What does it mean to have a just transition when we speak about renewable energy? We all know that we are reliant on fossil fuels for our energy in the country. However, when we move or we transition to renewable energy, what does it mean? It means that the transition must be fair and equitable and not do any harm to any sector of the economy. We need to ensure the involvement and participation of marginalized groups. We need to ensure that this transition does not make anybody worse off within this transition. So I'll just like to give an example of some of the initiatives that businesses are undertaking to ensure the shift towards renewable energy. Obviously, solar energy is our most abundant resource. The investment in solar energy in the country is increasing. As UNDP, we are supporting this move. I'm pleased to announce that as UNDP, we are contributing 13 megawatts of renewable energy to the national grid, which is about 35% of the national target. But we are not doing this alone. We are working with various private sector companies. You might ask how private sector companies, those involved in the manufacture, in the service of renewable energy parts, the solar panels. We are actively working with the government. So there is a lot that can be done around that sector. And just recently, we launched the Development Partners Renewable Energy Group. And this is a coordination platform that is aimed at bringing together development partners in the renewable energy sector so that we take stock of who is doing what where. The realization is that there is a lot that is happening in this renewable energy space, but it's so fragmented. One would make the wrong assumption that there's nothing happening with regards to clean energy, with regards to driving renewable energy, but this is just because the coordinated space and platform for candid discussions is not available. So through the Development Partners Renewable Energy Group, we hope to have more insights, more collaboration, more evidence coming through in terms of how renewable energy, as an example, can set up economic, transformation and drive economic growth in the country. I do realize we have limited time. I've really
Very
focused
much so.
on renewable energy, but I think it is an important sector, especially when businesses are involved. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, you spoke about some of those alternatives. Renewable energy, obviously, is also very topical at this point in time. But as we're looking at the issue of businesses, the frameworks of businesses altogether, we do realize that 58% of the world's largest corporations have put forward climate commitments that are at odds with their own climate policies influencing activities. But I want us to speak to corporate strategy. And if we are to look at business corporate strategy, how would you say, in terms of sustainable corporate strategy, Zimbabwe is faring?
I'd like to believe businesses in Zimbabwe are becoming alive to sustainability measures. Within UNDP, we do offer a program to support businesses and private sector organizations to meet their commitments and to measure how they are contributing to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. We are not where we are supposed to be, but what is encouraging is that there is increasing attention by the business community towards their commitment and responsibility to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and to their playing their part in addressing issues and impacts related to climate change. So not quite where we're supposed to be, but we are on the right path and traveling the journey at where we're supposed to go.
I'll ask one more question before we take maybe two questions from the audience. You are very prominent on issues of food security. And given Zimbabwe being an agro-based economy, obviously we need to find those sustainable practices to ensuring that food security is maintained. We also see businesses are facing pressure to actually rethink their operations in the context of sustainability. So is there room to unlock new opportunities for value creation, uncovering those inefficiencies, or should I say uncovering those efficiencies and building resilience for the future, looking at the agricultural sector and looking at other sectors of the economy?
Certainly, if we look at the agriculture industry in this country, if we look at our food systems, Zimbabwe is a maize-centric economy, but with increased climate change and increased rainfall variability, maize is becoming an increasingly risky crop to grow. The argument for irrigation schemes with less reliance on rain-fed agriculture becomes very important. The argument to diversify and focus on small grains also makes a lot of sense. But how then do we ensure that farmers invest in small grains which are better suited to marginal rainfall areas? How do we ensure that farmers engage in small livestock production which again are better suited to marginal rainfall areas? And this is where the business sector comes into play. Farming should be treated as a business, and what makes a business thrive? It's an economic and viable business case. If farmers can make money from agricultural production, then this increases their resilience. So definitely there is need to create markets to ensure that the value chain for small grains, the value chain for small livestock is developed, so that when our farmers encounter and engage in these less preferred value chains, there is a market, they can make money from it, and eventually they can become dominant value chains that also offer and increase the resilience of smallholder farmers to the impacts of climate change. So essentially, in a nutshell, more attention to drought tolerant value chains, more attention to the irrigation value chain. And there is a lot that can be done outside just production. When you look at irrigation schemes, it's the whole value chain that starts with the supply and provision of inputs, of equipment, of after-service maintenance that cuts across that entire value chain. So definitely scope and need for business sector in addressing challenges of climate change is absolutely critical.
Well, at this point in time, she did speak to some of those climate smart practices. Would have wanted to hear her take in terms of tobacco, the tobacco industry, given the context of how some of the practices are supposedly quite debatable. But I will take two questions from the floor. I will kindly ask you to just give us your name and the organization you're representing and a quick question. Try as much as possible not to have double-barreled questions. If we can have a roving mic, and we'll have two questions. Or I could always come down. Do we have a hand? The first question.
Thank you very much, Constance. If we look at COP28, for the first time, Africa went there, not with a begging bowl, but with an offer. We have what they want out there for the climate action, extraction of minerals. My question is this a just transition or is just a just transition? Why I'm saying this is because if you look at what's been happening globally, first of all in America, we are saying we need to move away from fossil fuels in a just manner. But you see America now imposing tariffs on China for their electric vehicles, for solar panels, very high tariffs. Does this not negate the justness in this just transition? That's number one. You look at the critical minerals in DRC, the human rights, child labor. Is it still just when we've got human rights and labor violations? And lastly, how do we move away without pulling a plug on economies that depend on fossil fuels without also creating stranded assets? Thank you.
We'll take one more question and then we'll allow Constance to respond to those. Do we have a second question? Okay, I think we'll allow Constance to address those.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, for those pertinent questions. And I must say they are loaded questions. I can't say I have answers to all of them. This could possibly be a whole debate session trying to answer these issues that you have raised. But essentially, when it comes to just transitions, what's important to note is that these transitions need to be contextualized locally. Countries, economies, communities need to be allowed to develop and transition based on local contexts, based on local needs and priorities. I won't try to answer on whether these transitions are just, whether they are politically correct, because I'm sure there are a number of diverse and varied views on this. And essentially, Madam Moderator, I think, you know, to get most out of this, it could be a question that is really thrown back to the floor to try and understand what the different views are, because it is a topical comment. And yeah, essentially my message is that transitions need to be tailor-made, need to be contextualized to the local settings. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Very controversial at the same time. These are controversial subjects and highly debatable. I know you were trying to be very democratic at the same time in responding to some of those issues. But clearly, these are the hard questions that need to be asked. And even as African governments are coming to the table to say, how do we put our foot forward in terms of making sure that these issues are at the forefront of what's to come at COP29. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to our panelist, Constance Pepukai, for addressing these issues as we're looking at business at the frontier of climate action. Thank you once again.